Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, February 16, 2018. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The opposition New Democratic Party stands resolute in their claim that the country's constitution has been violated in the manner in which their motion of no confidence against the government was handled in Parliament. At a media conference today, opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday spoke on the party's position on the matter, as well as a letter he wrote in response to a letter sent to him by Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves. Speaking on the legal requirements, importance, and consequences if a motion of no confidence succeeds, Dr. Friday said it would have had grave implications on the government, adding that a motion of full confidence has no such consequences.
Subject to the provisions of subsection 3 of this section, a general election of representatives shall be held at such time within 90 days after any dissolution of Parliament, or if the House has been dissolved by reason of a vote of no confidence in the government at such time within 30 days after the dissolution, as the Governor General may appoint. So if the House is dissolved because of a vote of no confidence, you must have elections within 30 days. It doesn't say it has to be 30 days or 28 days. It says within 30 days. And certainly not within the 90-day time frame that's usually applied. In contrast, I continue the letter, in contrast, no such consequences rest on the outcome of a motion of full confidence in government. Therefore, your debate and vote on your motion of full confidence in the government were merely an exercise in undeserved self-congratulation.
Dr. Friday rubbished Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves' interpretation of the words debate and dispose found in the Constitution in relation to motions, stating that it is clear that a debate is constitutionally mandated.
Basically saying, is there anyone who's going to debate the motion? If 5 people were to say no and 1 says yes, that 1 person would still be allowed to debate. It's not a matter that you vote on, which is normally what happens. Not every bill or motion that comes to the House has everybody debating it. Some people may get up and debate it. When they don't want to debate, they sit in the seat and they remain quiet. And then the Speaker will conclude the debate. So to put that and to say that in fact this is how they actually approach the matter in the Parliament, by simply saying, you know, debate, and all of them say no, but that's the end of the matter. That is ridiculous. That is not how the rules, the ordinary rules of the House apply, and that certainly is not what the Constitution means when it says that the matter should be considered and disposed of by the House. So we maintain our position.
The opposition leader added that the right to debate a motion of no confidence cannot be negated, adding that the government in no way, shape or form debated their motion of no confidence.
After you take all the arguments, all the insulting and whatever else that goes back and forth, ultimately what happened? What happened on Wednesday the 31st?
They debated.
Eh?
They debated.
They debated, but the motion of no confidence was not debated. And that is our point, is that you cannot negate the right to debate a motion of no confidence simply by saying, I don't want it. That's essentially what they did. In all the reasonings they put down, you can't do it. And no matter what you say, that is what happened in the House on the 31st. And if we accept that that is the interpretation to be given to the constitutional provisions, and that the rules would override it to such an extent that whatever is debated does not reflect the motion, then how can you argue otherwise that the constitutional provision has been negated?
Meanwhile, the opposition leader is questioning the funding of a celebration event to be held tomorrow to mark the 1st anniversary of operations of the Argyle International Airport. The opposition leader said, contrary to what has been put forward, the event is a political one.
For the ULP government, that's basically what it was. So the question that I'm asking today is, are taxpayers going to be made to pay the bill for this extravaganza that they're planning out at Argyle tomorrow? That is a relevant question, given the fact that for the third straight year in a row, that VAT has been increased on the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. More taxes have been imposed. Given the fact that we have serious hardship in the economy of this country, we need to know to ensure that government's money is not wasted on a bashment that is basically just a political advertisement for the Unity Labour Party.
A number of police and prison officers here received certificates of participation after completing training on juvenile justice reform issues. Hosted by the OECS Commission in collaboration with the Ministry of National Mobilization, the sensitization workshop commenced on Monday, February 5th and culminated on Thursday the 15th with a closing ceremony at the lecture hall at the Police Training School in Old Montrose. Nikita Tony tells us more about last evening's closing ceremony in this report.
In keeping with the objectives of the Juvenile Justice Reform Project, JJRP, the OECS Commission, in collaboration with this country's Ministry of National Mobilization, held 2 3-day training workshops here for police and prison or correctional officers from Monday, February 5th to Thursday, February 15th. The workshops focused on Phase 2 of the JJRP, which relates to diversion, rehabilitation, and reintegration, and sought as a capacity-building exercise to sensitize the officers on various juvenile justice reform issues. In her remarks, OECS Commission representative and workshop facilitator Gloria Augustus said the participants can now be referred to as juvenile justice advocates.
Our remuneration will be the rewarding experience of a rights-based change which will far outweigh the frustrations of your advocacy efforts. You have been given the opportunity and training to understand how best to address youthful offenses, youthful offenders, and why the juvenile justice system is different from the adult system, and to be part of the solutions that work.
Augustus also commended the overall participation of all relevant stakeholders here in SVG on identifying and sharing their knowledge on juvenile justice issues.
You would have understood that it is a complex, multidisciplinary system which requires all people and institutions in contact with those young people to understand and be supportive of the reform. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, during Phase 1, they were the front runners in developing a national diversion strategy, and also they piloted the assessment tool SAVERY. We received the good news that the child justice legislation, which will eventually replace the 1952 Juvenile Justice Act, is being drafted. Legislation supports all the objectives of the reform, but on its own, it will not work.
Acting Deputy Commissioner of Police Frankie Joseph pointed out that police and prison officers are 2 of the most critical agents in the criminal justice and juvenile reform system.
I encourage you to work with the social workers, the counselors, the teachers, and all of the stakeholders who forms part of the juvenile justice system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to ensure that our young people are meaningfully and positively engaged in activities that will uplift and improve their lives and well-being.
In his remarks, Superintendent of Prisons Brenton Charles spoke on the issue of juvenile diversion and rehabilitation.
More effort be given to diversion to get these youths away from crime, but where things would go wrong, they would always go wrong. We have to continue to work to build the harmony. The greater the isolation, the greater the burden for both organizations. And I'm really happy this evening with the level of cooperation and friendship and harmony that I see within among the bodies. And so.
Minister of National Mobilization Frederick Stevenson, in outlining his ministry's commitment in addressing issues affecting the nation's youth, commended the collective approach being executed in achieving juvenile justice reform in SVG.
With all your support from this project, St. Vincent and the Grenadines was able to establish a child development division to provide specialized services in the area of juvenile diversion, probation, rehabilitation, parenting support, and child care and protection. Elementary Child Justice Bill is currently in its draft stage at the Office of the Attorney General. And here in my hand, I have the first draft.
Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
The Cybercrime Bill, which was adopted by Parliament in 2016, is an act and it is a part of the laws of SVG. And according to Government Senator Julian Francis, persons should take this into full consideration when posting libelous statements on social media. Francis, who was at the time speaking on the ULP Speaks radio program, cited information from an article carried in a local newspaper in relation to an ongoing court case under the cybercrime law involving two sisters.
The one who was writing up pleaded guilty to 4 counts of defamation under the Cybercrime Bill and now awaits sentencing on Friday. One may be charged with an offense if they use a computer system to disseminate any information, statement or image, knowing the same to be false, and who damages the reputation of another person, or subjects another person to public ridicule, contempt, hatred, and embarrassment. The senior magistrate has reserved his sentencing for February 16th. That is 2 days after Valentine. There is little case guidance in sentencing for these matters, as the Cybercrime Bill is relatively new, having been implemented in 2016. However, within the bill, anyone charged with an offense under Section 16 will be liable to a fine of up to $100,000 or to imprisonment for 2 years or both upon summary conviction before a magistrate.
Noting that the accused had pleaded guilty to 4 counts of libel using electronic communication before the court, Francis urged persons to take the court matter as a lesson and refrain from making libelous statements.
Politicians get their fair share of these nasty things that are written on Facebook. There are the Imads, there are the Alan Palmers, there are the Andre Cottle, Jeffrey Providence, you know, but yet they're not man enough to stand up and say that I wrote that. No. Big brouhaha. They're bad. They could say this, they could say that. It's a free world. Well, this is evidence to you that somebody has tested Facebook and cybercrime and libelous statements that were made about them on Facebook, and it went before the magistrate, and the magistrate has heard it, and he is putting off his sentence till February 16th. She has pleaded guilty, and I want this to be a warning to all of them out there.
SVG-TV News understands that in court today, the sister who is accused of using libelous statements and is the first person here to be charged under the cybercrime law changed her plea from guilty to not guilty. The matter has been adjourned to April 24th, 2018. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Public Service Union, the SVG-PSU, will be celebrating its 75th anniversary on Wednesday, the 21st February 2018, under the theme 75 Years of Resilience, Moving Forward as a Stronger Public Service Union. To commemorate this day, the Public Service Union will be hosting a series of activities beginning this Sunday, 18 February, with a church service at the Kingston Methodist Church from 7 a.m. The celebration activities will continue on Wednesday, the 21st February, with an address by President Elroy Boucher on NBC Radio, a groundbreaking ceremony at the PSU building at Mackey's Hill, and a social evening for its members at French's House. On Wednesday, the 28th February, there will be a panel discussion at the Kingston Methodist Church Hall. With 75 years of history, the Public Service Union says it stands ready to continue to pursue its goals and objectives as it strives to ensure that the rights of workers are recognized. Concerned parents, guardians, and members of the Vincentian public are being given the opportunity to learn more about child abuse as well as measures they can take to protect children from this scourge. This through several publications by Cheryl Ann Gajada entitled The Girl in the Cupboard. Speaking with SVG-TV News this week, Gajada stated that the inspiration behind writing The Girl in the Cupboard comes from her own experiences as a child.
Yes, but The Girl in the Cupboard, it's about my life after being abused sexually at the age of 5 years. The cupboard came about when my mom locked us in this cupboard and then they take us away, the police. I grew up at a children's home. I spent 10 years at St. Mary's Children's Home in Tacarigua. You know, so that is The Girl in the Cupboard. And then I ventured into part 2 because when I wrote The Girl in the Cupboard, I thought that was it, you know, but I had to deal with this trapped child inside me that was vulnerable, wanting to be loved, you know, wanting to, this mommy syndrome, you know, turn into different people, resources for help, you know, being rejected, attempted my life, was suicidal and all of that, you know. But because, you know, my relationship when I developed and I became, you know, to know God in a most personal way, you know, that helped me, you know, even with professional counseling, you know, to climb out of the confines of those cupboards of rejection, you know, suicidal and stuff like that.
Gajada said her books are available at Games Bookstore and the Teachers Credit Union, adding that proceeds will go toward the building of an international children's home in Trinidad and Tobago.
This book in their hands so it can wake up, you know, the people and let them be more aware, you know, what is abuse, you know, how to deal with it, you know, and the pedophiles and how to go about it. So, and there's also a lot of resources, there's a lot of references in the book also. And in part 2 of this book also, there's a lot of suicidal tips inside of it. You know, if you know a friend or someone who, you know, was or is suicidal, you know how to deal with it, you go through this book, you know, and you can work along with them because the books are also being used as a case study. So the open cupboard, you know, I'm also building a children's home for abused children. It's called the Open Cupboard House. It's international, you know, but it's being built in Trinidad. So even when they get the books, it will help, you know, to, you know, finish the home.
Gajada used the opportunity to provide some advice to parents on how they can protect their children from abuse.
And these people need to clean their minds, they need to repent, and they need to be put away and pay for the consequences of their sin, you know. And if a parent know that a child is being abused sexually or molested, you know, don't say because the man is giving me money, you know, he's the breadwinner of the home. No, you need to shut that man down and you need to take care of your children. You are responsible for the children. You are responsible for your child. Don't expect the government to be responsible all the time for your children. You are responsible. You have to take that responsibility, you know. So, and you need to instill the word of God inside them. Yes, we get professional help, you know, psychologists and, you know, the psychiatrists, but we need to also seek spiritual help. You need to deal with the abuse from the root. You need to go to the root of it and deal with it and cut that root. How you all say it? Nip it in the bud.
A Night in Paris. That's the theme under which local musician and musical director Walt Carter will host the second installment of J-Time at the Sunset Shows Hotel tomorrow, Saturday, February 17th from 7:30 p.m. Noting that his first production was held in 2016 as a way of launching his musical career, Carter said patrons at this year's event can expect a bigger event with an even greater experience.
So actually I couldn't find a proper name until I met up on J-Time, meaning I love you. So I used this event to launch out my musical career basically. We did it at Beachcombers and we had a really lovely successful night. Last time we're gonna have the venue feeling like Paris. People are gonna come and they're gonna be entertained by great artists. As you enter, you get a complimentary glass of wine and kebab. So it's something just to make the night of Paris more interesting.
Noting that plans are in place to make the event an annual showcase, Carter said one of the objectives of the event is to help promote young Vincentian talent.
We have artists like Shani Brown, Shaquille Brown, Rodney Small, Janine Brown, Jen, and myself, Walt Carter, backed with a great band, a very talented band. These are artists that Vincentians don't really know about, but they are very, very, very talented and they're good at what they do. So JETM creates the platform for them to showcase their talent. Another aim is so that I could allow Vincentians to appreciate other genres out of reggae and soca. We have a tendency to go hard for reggae and soca, and I want to show our Vincentians that we are capable of doing other genres.
Featured musician Junior Bowens urged persons to come out and be a part of the JETM experience.
Every night, practicing every night. So we have the best, and we want to give you the best. It's happening at Sunset Shores. The admission is $50, $90 for couples. The doors open at 7:30 p.m. And we really hope that you come and enjoy, because we have put, just like how we have put the time and the effort to make you comfortable and have a good night. We pray that we even know that we think that you will have a good time there.